Now, I want to go to Galatians chapter 5, and we're going to talk about how with integrity to keep the feast days, because we don't have this thing right. The Most High is trying to get our hearts right, and we're trying to give him a legalistic thing when we are to give him a heart pure and do the literal, tangible thing as far as his feast days are concerned. Let's look at Galatians chapter 5, with Shaul was ministering to the set apart ones in Galatia, or Gauls. Incidentally, Gauls is actually the land of Gomer, or the Gomerites, which is the modern day English people. Now, Shaul, Paul says in the 5th chapter of Galatians, he says, verse 19, the works of the flesh are manifest. So we're talking about how to keep the Passover, how to keep the feast days. And to keep the feast days, we have to knock out all of the deeds of the flesh. And this is what Shaul was talking about in Galatians 5, verse 19. He says, the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: idolatry, and not just simply only idolatry on the side of the human form, but in the spiritual form, adultery, which is worshiping these false deities, and under the disguise of Hebrewism, and for whatever that matters, symbols, idols, stars, crosses. We don't have crosses, we have stars now. So the Most High is saying in idolatry, okay, though all those symbols are symbols that the Most High told us not to make any graven images. So he says adultery, fornication, okay, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, variance, emulation, strife, sedition, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and of such like. He says that they that do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim. So you want to go to the kingdom? Weed those things out of your life. Now, I would admonish you to go back over that verse and look at each one of those things that the Most High told us that are the works of the flesh, and cut them out of our lives. That's how we practice on keeping the feast days. One specific feast day that is designated as a day to afflict our soul, the Day of Atonement. That's the day of fasting. That we, once a year, you don't fast all year long, because we know some people will not fast for whatever reason it might be, but we take that day and we fast. Now, let's go and look. He says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering. When you don't agree with somebody, you have long suffering. You have tolerance to deal with that person, because Yah dealt with you while you were in disobedience. You was a Baptist, a Pentecostal, a Catholic, or Protestant, or Muslim, or whatever you were. The Most High had long suffering for you. Gentleness, real big one. Gentleness. We have a lot of people that don't have any patience. You came to the truth, and now that you are an Israelite, and you stop using the name, so now you want to beat everybody up in your family next week. No, you got to be gentle. Goodness. Be good. Do good. Is it evil to do good? Stop looking for ways out and work on doing that which is good. Faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. For they that are the Mashiach have impaled the flesh with the affections and lust. All right, now let's go back to some more stuff about how to keep the feast days in sincerity and in truth. Okay. One thing I want to say is that we have a lot of gossiping, backbiting, and maliciousness in Israel, conscious and unconscious Hebrew Israelites. So we have to learn that we are not to be meddlers. Proverbs 7, chapter 17 says, It's better is the dry morsel and quietness therewith than the house full of sacrifices with strife. Verse 4 says, the wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. So when we are trying to keep the feast days in sincerity, we ought not to give our ear to false lips. We ought not to give our ear to a liar, a person that has a naughty tongue. Think about it. Shaul says in 1 Timothy chapter 4, he says, verse 9, but as touching brotherly love, you need not that I write unto you, for you yourselves are taught of Yah to love one another. And indeed, you do it towards all the brethren which are in Macedonia, but we beseech you, brethren, that you increase more and more. Watch this now, verse 11. Watch this now. And that you study to be quiet. That's a hard thing, isn't it? He says that you study to be quiet and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands as we commanded you, that you may walk honestly towards them that are without, and that you may have lack of nothing. So Shaul says that you ought to study to be quiet and do your own business. So if we are working on ourselves during the feast days, and we are working on ourselves during the Shabbat, and we are not meddling with what somebody else is or is not doing, the Most High is pleased with us as we continue to offer unto Him a sacrifice which is well pleasing unto Him. So that's what He requires of us, brothers and sisters. He requires of us is to offer unto Him the sacrifice of sincerity and truth, by not being a gossiper, a backbiter, a liar, or a thief, but by us offering unto Him the sacrifice of praise, the sacrifice of sincerity and of truth. Hallelujah. Now, I want to also deal with one point I want to make. That in a previous session, I had said that the Most High wants us to get to the place where we, in this land of captivity, have accepted the punishment that the Most High has given to us. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 38 says this, and you shall perish among the heathens, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. But they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespasses which they have trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I have walked contrary unto them, and brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised hearts be humble, that they then accept the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. And I close you with this one. 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from the wicked ways, I will hear from heaven, I will forgive their sin and heal their land.